This video shows how to set up the pixel ribbing mounting kit. Now, this kit may have been included if you purchased the optional MegaTree mounting kit option. And so what this does is this allows you to use this topper right here. And it has got 16 different slots around the outside. We put in the center here a top rail fence post. So those can be found at Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards, and they slide through this slot at the top and get caught on the swedged end. Now, some of the other items in this kit are you can see some screws. Those go around the outside to hold the pole in place to keep it from twisting. We also have zip ties. The zip ties are used to attach the strip to this. Now we slide the strip through the hole, put the zip ties, and then it gets caught on those little divots that are on the inside. See our video on product page 750 with the QT8, QT2, and other products. There's a video that explains how to do that. Now you also have two rolls of 160-inch strip here. Those form the portion that we're actually going to put our pixel strips onto. This is optional here. This is a center pole load spreader. This can be put at the bottom of your pole. Now we'll see that how you build your pole is going to be up to you, and that may differ. Now you may need these or may not. These are strain reliefs. These can be added to the strips here at the bottom to provide strain relieving. That may or may not be required in your case, and just more zip ties here. So let's go ahead and look at what we have. So what we're looking at here is first, here we have a strip, and we'll investigate how we mount that strip with the pixel strip onto the mounting strip, or as we refer to it, extreme strip. All right, then here what we are going to look at is a side profile of the different possible options that exist for building our tree. And then finally, an overhead view of our tree and how it might look when you space out the individual strips. Now, as I mentioned, this is a highly customizable option. You can choose to build it higher, wider, shorter, thinner. It's really up to you. So hopefully this video will provide you some general information about how to do that. So let's first start off with the strip. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at the strip. This is the extreme strip, and the black outline here is the strip, and these holes are the pixel holes in the strip. Now, not shown here are 3 holes here and 3 holes here. Those are where we're going to put the zip ties through. So if we look here, we're going to see that there's a length of strip here. Now these are spaced 8 inches, so we have 16 inches from here to here and another 8 here, so 24 inches. This is allowing you to have extra room. Fudge factor, you just cut it too short, or you wish to have a larger gap at the bottom of your tree, or maybe you have uneven ground. So the one side of the tree needs to go further to the ground than the other side of the tree. So this is adjustable, and we'll see that here in a moment. Now, what we see here is we see the yellow line. The yellow line is the wire coming out of the bottom of the pixel strip. So let's go and take a look at that item. That item is this right here. And this is a roll of pixel strip, and as you can see here, it comes with the extension cable already on it, and that is the bottom of this tree. So this will actually hook up to the controller with a plug, and this is the strip itself. And this isn't a waterproof roll here. All right, so what we're referring to is that wire, the black wire here. And while we've got it running over here, this allows you to zip tie that wire. So if we look here, this wire right here, when it comes out, it allows you to put a zip tie around that to the strip. Let's just take a look at the strip, since that might be confusing if you don't have the actual strip with you. So what we can see here is a typical layout. So here we have 3 inches. Now the strip in this kit is 8 inches. That means 8 inches between each hole. So in the example I just used, we can simply take our strip, mount it there, and then on the next hole, we just put a zip tie through these two, and we anchor that extension cable down, just so it doesn't inadvertently pull out. Maybe somebody trips on it or gets pulled on or something like that. Okay, so let's go back to our design here. So what we do is we're going to start at the top of the strip. Now let's look at the overall length of this strip. Now the overall length of the strip is 234 inches. Now 234 inches is a total of 19 and a half feet. All right, so let's look at our math here. And so 19.5 times 16 strips is 312 feet. So in your kit, you should receive 320. So there's some extra footage in there for, just whatever. Now, if for some reason you should make a mistake and cut something wrong, it's okay. These strips can be mended together or connected together. So if you receive yours in the two rolls, you may need to connect them together depending upon the way you cut it. So you just overlay two strips together and simply put zip ties through both halves on the top and the bottom. Now, you can do it through all four. So you could put two here, two here, two here, and two here if you'd like. It's up to you. It depends on your wind load and a variety of other factors. All right, so we need to cut each of these strips down to 19 and a half feet. Now, technically, you can also do 20 feet. All right, now let's go up to the top of the strip. Now, this hole is necessary for mounting our pixel strip. Now, that goes into the topper, so let's take a look at that. Let's back up here. And so the topper looks like, oops, everybody, this. And so toppers have little slots in them. So let's see if we can find the one in question. Whoops. All right. See, these all come in different sizes. Now, what you're looking at here is a completed unit. Now, this is using our standard classic strip. Now, this strip is a thinner strip, and to create enough thickness, we need to actually double it up. On the extreme strip, it is much thicker, and it does not have to be doubled up. And so thus, we do not need to loop it back around here. So what you're doing here is you can see that there's slots in here. We're sliding the strip up through the hole, putting zip ties in two of the holes on each side so that the little nubs left over from the zip ties slide into the slots, get stuck, and cannot pull out. Now our pole, here it is, shown sliding through the bottom. That gets stuck on there. That's what's called top rail fence post. It's in the fence section. You can see it coming through the top. All right, let's see. We're getting closer here. Okay, here's the item in question. So here are the slots, and so you can see that we'll alternate them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on all the way over here. So this allows us to build our entire thing, and it's only half of one. So your fence post, your top rail fence is going to go in here. Your screws right on these little outside areas. These holes up here are for the guy wires, and if you have a star on top, you may need to bring cables through. So this is big enough to pull a cable through. And these little nubs right here that are partially cut out, or divots, are to allow you to pre-drill the holes out. If you want to put a star on top, you can put a floor flange with 1/2-inch black pipe and stack that on top with some 1/4-inch bolts. Okay, now we're kind of getting off track here. So this is going to slide through the top of the topper. So we're going to have a little bit of a gap at the top of our tree. Then we're going to put zip ties through this, skipping every one. You don't have to put it on every 8 inches. Every 16 inches is fine. So we're just going to keep putting them on, and we'll get down here, and that's where we'll put our last one on, and then we'll put a zip tie to hold our our extension wire in place. Okay, so you're going to build 16 of these strips. And again, you're going to have some extra room at the bottom. Now, so looking at that, here is an example. So here's your topper, the black thing, the QT8, and that's sliding on top of the post. It's going to slide down a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of post sticking up. And this is your top rail fence post. Now, this is shown one continuous length, and the length of this is actually 20 feet. Now, represented here at the bottom is the green line. That is the dirt, the ground level. Now, you can either continue into the ground, cut it off using the center pole load spreader. It's up to you. And where you're going to cut it off really depends upon how big and wide you want your tree to be. Because as the height goes up, the diameter of the tree goes down, as we'll see here. So we fixed it here. So the strips are going to start at the top. Now they're actually going to be a little bit back, but this is they're going to be sticking out here, the end of this topper, but for representations here, this is sufficient. So you'll notice that we have the strips. These are the sides of the strip looking on the side of the tree. And what we have here is the bottom down here at the ground where they hit the ground. And you can see we're at 228 inches here. So 228 is 19 feet. So if you wanted to use the entire length of this, you could use 19 feet. You'd have a little bit left over and then secure it to the ground. Now, what does that mean? That means when measured, and we'll just take these measurements out for clarity. When measured from the outside of the pole to over here, you would be 80 inches. So if you took a piece of tape measure and just simply pushed it up against the pole, came out to the side, and put it into the ground, you would be at 80 inches from the edge of the pole, and the length of your entire strip, the extreme strip, would be 228 inches here. Let's see if I can get that. So we have 80 inches, as you can see here, from this edge of the pole to that. Now, what does that look like when you're looking at it in terms of diameter? Well, here we can see that this has a huge diameter. So let's actually measure that and see what our diameter here is. So our diameter for that setup is a total of 160 inches. So I'm going to measure this one also here while we're here. So how many is 160 inches? So 160 divided by 12 is 13 feet in diameter. So that means your tree can be 13 feet in diameter with the 19-foot long strip, extreme strip, spaced 80 inches. And so when we come from the center of here to out here, as you can imagine, 160 divided by 2 is 80. There's a little bit of a slop factor there. And now, what happens if you don't want your tree that wide? Because this means that each of the strips is going to be 15.7 inches spaced apart. So at the edge of the tree, we would stake down one, move over 17.7 feet, or roughly around 17.5, and we put another strip in place. And then, of course, we end up with a tree that radiates 180 degrees out. So maybe that's too much spacing for you. No problem. What you can do is you can go the second option. Here's a 216-inch long strip. So 216 divided by 12 is 18 feet long. Now, our strips, the actual pixel strips, instead of the extreme strips, are 16.5 feet long. So we still have extra room there. We'll still have a little bit of gap at the bottom. So 18 foot of extreme strip here means that we only come 25 inches away from the pole. So let's say you want this up against a tree or up against a house really tight and you want really good spacing, really dense pixels. This is the way you want to go. You want to shorten your length down to this 18 feet instead of 19 feet. So going 19 or 18. You can see what a big, huge difference that makes in how wide it is. Now, in that case, you can see we're only 52 inches wide. So this tree is very narrow and creates a very tight spacing. And you can see the spacing between them is 5.2 inches right here between each strip. And of course, you could pick somewhere in between. So you want something that's halfway between that. Then you could go 18.5 feet and you would end up with something in the middle that would be here too in the middle. So you can see this is very customizable and it's up to you how you want to build out your particular display. So hopefully this has been helpful in helping you set that up. If not, contact us at holidaycoro.com.